Welcome back to the Manufacturing Alliance podcast, everyone. I am your host, Tony DeMakis with Alliance Specialties in Laser Sales, where we are mold makers that don't build molds. It sounds ridiculous to say that. I know it every time I do it. And you might be tired of me saying it that way, but that's the reality of what it is. So what does that look like? It means that we do all the things that mold makers, you, the mold maker, the genius with the machines and the engineering, we do all the stuff that you don't have the time to do or the energy to do, or really the team to do. So that looks like polishing and laser welding, laser engraving, hot runner repair, preventative mold maintenance, all of those extra details that the mold maker needs to create a good product that maybe you don't have the staff to do, especially now while everybody is trying to find the right people, right? That's the big push. Everybody wants to find the right people. And sometimes that's hard to do. And when that happens, you have to rely on partners. You have to have people around you that you trust to be able to do all of those things with you. And that's where we step in. We also have a full line of laser welding and laser engraving equipment that is made here in the United States. And we will be demoing all of that next month at PT Expo, March 18th through the 20th at the Donald E. Stevens Convention Center in Rosemont, Illinois. We are going to have our new laser engraver. The Advantage system is going to be there. You're going to be able to try that yourself. We are also going to be having on-the-floor laser welding demonstrations. You can come out. You can see if that works for you and see how easy it is to do. Now, I'm not saying that anybody can do it. I am saying anybody can do it with some training. Right? It's not like traditional welding. It's way easier than traditional welding. Even I can do it, and I am far from a welder. So come see us at Rosemont at the PT Expo. It's going to be a great time. While we're there, you can check out the ID1, our laser welding machine. It is built here in the United States in Prairie Grove at our Laser Development Center. And for every machine that we sell, every ID1 or Advantage system that we make, we are going to make a donation to the Tim Tebow Foundation to help end human trafficking. It's a disgusting thing. We hate the thing. We are not going to go out and fight bad guys. That's not our thing, but we will continue to contribute money and do our part to make a difference in the world however we can. So when you're trying to make a decision between, our machine and somebody else's, and you say, what's the difference? Part of the difference is that we actually care and we want to give back to the community. The other part is that we're here for you. We make the machines. We don't have a clipboard when you have a problem. We have the engineer that actually built it, putting it together to get on the phone with you and answer the questions that you need. And we're right here so we can get stuff to you right away. We don't have to wait for things to come from Germany or China or wherever else they're coming from. So come see us at PT Expo. We want to connect with you there. While we're talking about giving back, we talked to Brian Warren a while back. Brian has a son named Jake. Jake has been struggling with pediatric cancer his entire life, and they are still doing a GoFundMe, trying to raise some money for little Jake for the things that they need to do. So here on the screen, there is a QR code where you can go and you can make a donation to Jake if that's something that you would like to do. We may have something available at PT Expo. There's something that we're thinking about trying to help out. Brian is an awesome dude. He works at the college and he is just trying to get more people to get involved in manufacturing and teach them what that all looks like. Last but not least, if you like what you're hearing, if you want to be part of the show or the experience, please go like and subscribe to the Manufacturing Alliance podcast on YouTube. We are going to continue to tell the stories of you, the manufacturers, and all the things that are happening in our world and what that looks like. So I think that's all I have to cover right now. I mean, that's enough stuff. I'm excited today because I get to talk to a new friend. I met him at MD&M West. He is the CEO of MTD Micro Molding, and I'm going to bring him in. Here is Gary. Gary, how are you, my friend?
Pretty good, Tony. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for sitting in there for a little while with all my jibber jabber and all the stuff. But
no problem.
I'm excited to talk with you because I think what you guys do is exceptional. There are a lot of people that build molds. There's a lot of people that do different things, but I feel like what you guys do is exceptional because you take that craftsmanship of building a mold to a scale that most people wouldn't even dream of.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And we hear it all the time from some of our customers where, we're primarily a med device customer, and a lot of the engineers have, a mentor or something like that there where they're designing a part and they're like, well, there's no way that this core pin would survive in a tool. But we always encourage them to talk to us because we do have, 2000 diameter core pins. We have very thin wall sleeves to be able to create these parts. And again, we do this because we create tools in a different way, not the traditional, macro molding way. A lot of times we're asking the machine tools to create parts more accurate than what they're supposed to. Just because you have very thin wall parts. You need to have accurate relationships between the pieces of steel. And, a lot of times, like I think we were talking about earlier, like the venting, we don't even vent most of the molds. We put a secondary vent in it, and the grind lines are enough to give us the outgassing that we need to be able to fill the part.
Yeah, it's insane, right? Like, I mean, you have to have a magnifying glass to inspect your parts for flash or any kind of issues.
Yeah. Sometimes we were just measuring a part the other day. The plastic part is we had to zoom into 400x.
Wow.
So, and again, a smooth surface finish at 400x, looks like a piece of tar from the parking lot. When you're looking at it that close, so you're trying to determine, if the flash is out of spec or not. But there is microscopes at every machine, and even some that are on benches, not even near the machine, because everybody needs a microscope to see every part they're making for these tools.
Yeah. And so let's tell people what MTD actually is. And then we can dig into why the parts actually need to be so small. So what is MTD? Where are you guys located? And why do people need to know what we're talking about today?
Okay, well, MTD is located. We're an hour west of Boston in Charlton, Massachusetts. So we're an hour from Hartford. We're an hour from Providence, Rhode Island. So any of the major airports. So we are a contract manufacturer for medical device industry. So that focuses on micro molding. So very tiny parts. Some of them, I'm going to call them like a third of a mouse dropping, all the way up to say an inch long.
I love that measurement. It's a third of a mouse dropping.
Yeah. So a lot of times we're involved in, for all our customers, the most challenging parts, the most expensive parts in the device, because a lot of them that we work on now are bioabsorbables. We have an expertise in molding bioabsorbable materials, and I think we're pretty much known throughout the world as one of the experts when it comes to processing bioabsorbables. Okay. So and those are, for those of you who don't know, those are parts that, orthopedic devices or suture devices that dissolve in your body. So the surgeon doesn't have to go back in and take them out at a later date. They basically turn to carbon dioxide and just come out of your body as they dissolve. So a lot of seems like the younger surgeons like the concept of having everything bioabsorbable because their, responsibility for the part that's inside you is gone in 18 to 9 months, so sure. They don't have to worry about it. So there's kind of a big push on creating orthopedic devices out of that material. So
no, that's what I'm talking about, right? Like there are very few people that are able to do the things that you guys are able to do, to even be able to think that way, to use the new materials, to come up with technology that is going to give people an advantage when it comes to surgery. I mean, it's life-saving things. It's the things that actually matter to people. I mean, pens and Sharpies and all that stuff. I don't want to discount, anybody in the field, but this is stuff that, like, it's going in your body. You want it to be perfect.
Yeah, you do. And we have a saying here, all the parts we make, which again starts at the tool. We do all our own tooling here. Everybody here knows that at some point in time, the products we make are going to wind up in one of your loved ones, and that's a given. So really, everybody embraces that. When we have quality audits, it's it's not a hassle. It's, we eat, sleep, and breathe quality all the time. So, and since we make a lot of class 3 devices, we get audited about once a month from our customers, and they all say, one, our tool room is the cleanest they've ever seen. We get that compliment all the time.
Well, how big could your scrap be? I mean, that's not fair.
No, I know. We have some larger mills to do some mold-based work, but for the most part, most of our features are done with a sinker EDM process. So we create graphite electrodes, which is in a machine designed to handle that, so it keeps the graphite contained, so it doesn't really enter the shop atmosphere. And then we're usually either wire EDMing it or sinker EDMing it or EDM milling the details. So yeah, you're right. It doesn't create a lot of chips or dust.
I feel like our polishing dust is smaller than your chips.
It could be in some cases.
One thing I forgot to mention is we are a live show. So I see people putting stuff in the chat right now, which is great. So if there are any questions or thoughts or comments that you would like to make, that's what we're here for. That's why we're doing this live, which means that sometimes there may be mistakes and you may not like everything you hear. And that's fine, because that's how conversations typically go. This is not perfection. If you want perfection, then go get your tools made with MTD. But you guys don't do that, right? You're not necessarily making things for other people. It's all internal to yourselves.
Yeah. We just build molds for ourselves, and we're just busy enough. Actually, there's a mold maker here that's been here 11 years. And when I hired him 11 years ago, I was like, hey, work as many hours as you can. And it hasn't stopped, like he says, I always, taken that to heart, and I have, so we're just busy enough, just doing tools for ourselves, which is a good thing for us to help us grow our molding business. Our tooling business is probably 20% of our revenue, and the molding business is another 80%. And we have, 7 tool makers right now. So
Sure. So my friend Rich, who was on the podcast a couple of weeks ago, Rich Thiel from SES, he's just letting us know he's there. Rich sells cutting tools and all kinds of other instruments for the industry. And then we have a new friend from the JMK group. He's asking, which materials do you use? PP, PC, PVC, ABC? Anything you want to share with them?
I guess the easy way, so no PVC. So the easy way to describe it is all the thermoplastics and bioabsorbables is what we process here at MTD. So no silicone, no thermoset plastics or anything like that.
What did you think of the MD&M show?
I thought it was great. I think this was the first year, let's call it, where it felt like a pre-COVID show. A lot of the other years were, reduced attendance, people not sharing drawings, people not even wearing name tags. So it was tough.
They just let anybody in, huh?
Yeah, it was tough to, because they didn't want anybody touching one another. You couldn't stand too close. This year was I thought a pre-COVID show. So good foot traffic,
Good.
People coming with NDAs, looking for solutions, have real problems to solve, which is another great thing about MTD. We're a problem-solving company. Obviously doing this micro molding, doing the challenging projects that nobody else wants, we have to have the problem-solving team on staff. Right. So we usually bring a few team members there to be able to work the problems out in front of the customer. Not just the salespeople, saying, "I'll get back to you when we get back." You can actually talk to the person who's going to be working with you right there. So again, great show.
It's a huge difference when you're doing that, right? When you have the people that actually know what they're talking about right on the floor. Somebody comes and asks a question, you can give them an answer. You can have an in-depth conversation. You can explore their parts, their concepts, their ideas, their vision for their parts. It's not a week later when everybody gets home and gets situated and then remembers to have the conversation. And they're like, wait, who is that guy? And that goes on both sides, right? You call the customer and the customer's like, which booth were you? We were the booth with the white floor, the white carpet that nobody wanted to step on because they were afraid it was going to get dirty.
Yeah, no, it is. And, I believe, so much more gets communicated when it's an in-person meeting too. Even the technology of Teams and all those softwares are great, and that's the next best thing. But nothing beats the in-person conversation.
Yeah, and for a while I thought, when COVID happened, like, is our trade shows going to change? Are they going to go away in some regard? Because there are many things that you can do via Teams or through technology like this. I mean, we're having a great face-to-face conversation.
Right.
But to be able to hold the part in the drawing and turn things around and sketch in real time, there really is nothing like being in person with people when you're having those kinds of conversations about parts or technology or being able to serve them in some capacity.
Yeah, no, to solve a problem is, to me, there's no better way than a face-to-face meeting.
Yeah. Scott Peters is with us. I don't know if you've ever met Scott Peters. Scott Peters is a long time the industry veteran. He says it sounds like a challenging tooling program. Having a clean shop and cutting steel molds is tough enough no matter what size the molded parts are. Yeah. And when the dirt is the size of the part, that's an amazing thing.
Yeah. But, the guys, the tool makers are, they're true tool makers, and they know they take a lot of pride in their work, but they also take a lot of pride in the environment that they work in too. Like we have a Zamboni basically that on Friday, the tool makers just like drive it around just to clean the floors.
Nice.
It's a rubbing system, and everybody takes turn, but it never gets missed. And they just love, working in a clean environment like that.
Of course. I mean, I would imagine so. This is something that you and I talked about. JMK says, do you have a laser welding machine in the tool room? And you and I were joking about that a second ago, and that's not even a reality for you, is it?
Yeah. Again, there's a lot of times if a crash happens or a mistake happens, we just make a new insert. Because that's the sink area left from the weld, however small it is, and again, we've tried a lot of welders. They say, "Oh, I don't have any sink," and there's always some level of sink there. When I talked about earlier, like our vents being, just the grind lines on the parting line and creating a secondary vent for the part. So you can imagine how, a 80 grit wheel leaves a pretty nice surface finish, and that's enough for a vent. So any kind of sink, around the part area always creates an artifact that is unacceptable to most of our customers.
Yeah. And so and the amount of steel that you're using, I mean, for you to just run another part is not the end of the world. By the time you found that with the laser welder and made that correction, then tried to polish that off or hand blend that in, it's going to be impossible.
Yeah. Again, I'm not familiar with the laser welding, but it sounds like a challenge in itself too.
You don't have to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought, going back, I thought MD&M West was a great event. It did seem busy. I do know, like, from going there the past years, like you said, there was that weird post-COVID situation where some people just didn't show up to the event, and you didn't know what that was going to be. And so this was a good week to just see people, and it seemed like the energy was high. I know for you said that you guys haven't slowed down at all, that you had exponential growth in 2024. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. It was kind of a crazy year for us. We did end up growing like 39%, which
Wow.
again, I can kind of put it in perspective. Like, we make a lot of devices for our customers for orthopedic surgeries, which during COVID, those got postponed or they didn't happen at all.
Yep.
So, we had contracts in place where we produced, the devices for the OEMs, but they weren't consuming them. So it was kind of like, in 22, the surgeries weren't there, and they had enough inventory in 23,
Sure.
from 22. So they kind of had to burn it off, and then, they used it all up. And then in 2024, there was a lot of reorders, and it kind of came back to life. So that's kind of, the years prior, we were kind of flat, let's call them. And then last year came out with a whopping 39% growth. So that was crazy.
When COVID was here, were you guys able to shift gears at all to be able to serve any of the needs of what was happening back then, or were you kind of like almost sitting ducks waiting for people to want to do those elective surgeries and things like that?
Yeah, so we didn't really get involved in any of the, say, COVID testing or any of those types of stuff, because those parts are all larger than, like the test kits, testing devices. Everything was on the larger side for us. Again, our sweet spot is an inch or under, and everything that they presented to us was credit card size and lab chips, and we just don't have the tooling equipment, nor do we have, we're a mold shop that has no chain falls.
Yeah.
So our heaviest mold might be 80 pounds, I think.
I wish that you would have been involved in the COVID testing kits, because when they stuck those things up your nose, that was horrible. They could have made those a lot smaller. That would have been fantastic.
Yes. Yeah, and then it was so funny, you get a negative test because you didn't stick it up your nose far enough when it was.
Well, and then you found out later that half of them were just like random, people are just throwing them away, or some of those testing sites were just like guys just scamming people for money, and there was no real testing going on. Who knows? I'm so glad that part of our life is over. Hopefully we never have to deal with anything like that again. But, our kids were part of history. Like it's funny to think that we're going to be able to talk to our kids about that, our grandkids about all of those sorts of things.
Right. Yeah. No, that was definitely, nobody knew what to do, no matter what age you were. The kids couldn't go to school. We couldn't go to work sometimes, or you had a curfew, you had to be home at a certain time. That was, something you'd never even dream of.
It was a crazy, crazy situation. I'm really glad that we're done with that. And like I said, I think it's going to be interesting, fast forwarding 30 years from now, talking about even the political climate that we're in now. We don't have to talk about all that because, who knows what side of the aisle anybody's on. I don't want to piss too many people off, but it's just this crazy situation when you look at what's going on with everything. It's everything is so volatile and unknown right now. And so I'm going to jump back and say it was really positive for me to be talking to see the energy at MD&M West, and talking to other mold builders or molders, and hearing everybody say how busy they were, because you guys were the anomaly, being up 39%. Most of the people I talked to over the last year were dealing with slashed budgets and no expense accounts, and projects that never got off the ground because people were waiting to see what was going to happen with the election, or what was going to happen with tariffs, or with this, that, and the other thing. So for you to have that much success, that is incredible. I mean, I hope that continues for you in 25.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, not to that level. Like I said, we were adding resources. I guess the new business was sucking up resources faster than you could add them. So that wasn't. Everybody's like, that's a good problem, and it's like, not when you're living.
Yeah,
it's not.
Yeah. Well.
So it's,
there's both to that, right? Like there's we don't have enough work, and then we have too much work, especially if you don't have the means to be able to produce more.
Right. And you have, small hiccups or things like that, and then everything gets backed up because there's no room to recover. So there was a lot of say unhappy employees because they had too much to do, working too many hours, but we've since leveled out, and hopefully this year, it's a modest growth, and I'm looking forward to it. And it's really starting off very well. MD&M always helps us kind of kick off the new year because, again, like I was saying, a lot of people come with projects and problems to solve that they couldn't get solved anyplace else. So it's really starting off.
Well, that's your motto, right? So, molding the impossible.
Yep. We do. Make the impossible possible. That's our motto. And I think we talked about it earlier too. About 30% of our projects are rescue projects, and and we keep track of that because it's nice. It's good information to know. Was it no quoted by the industry, or was a macro molder trying to do a smaller part than they should have, or something like that. We always want to know that information to really hone in on. We have about a 10% budget every year of our sales that we invest into new technologies or something like that. So we always want to stay ahead of the curve and make sure everybody's always trying to catch up to us, and we're not playing catch up to anybody.
No, I mean that makes perfect sense. Daryl Greatrix, our friend from up north, he says, "Hi Tony, just wondering if the 7 tool makers are split between CNC and fitting and assembly, or do they run the CNCs and do the fitting and assembly? Thanks for answering."
Okay. So we have probably 3 guys. They range from say 30 to 75 who are just they're CNC computer illiterate. So they take care of all the fitting and all the assembly work and all the grinding. And then the 4 guys are kind of split between making electrodes, milling steel, and running the wire EDMs and sinker EDMs.
So Daryl, there you go. You got your answer. He's telling you where everybody goes and what their job is. That's great. Scott Peters has another question for you. He says, have you ever thought about using the network of SPE Mold Technology Division in trying to find those needed personnel people?
I'm not 100% sure. We have an R&D engineer who likes to do a lot of recruiting through those programs, and I'm not 100% sure we use the SPE. I know we use a lot of universities for career days. We go there and get them all excited. We have like Penn State and UMass. They come visit us and they get to look around and see, from their engineering teams to see what opportunities we have, what the things we're working on. So I'm not 100% sure we use any SPE.
That's near and dear to Scott's heart because he happens to be the president or the chair of the SPE Mold Technologies Division. So that is, he's always getting that push out there, which is really good. Nice job, Scotty. Well done.
Okay.
One of the things that I love about you guys is that you are an American-made company, right? Like the things that you're doing are made in America, made in Massachusetts. Why is that important to you?
Well, to me, back up to my history, I was a mold maker, from starting off in trade school. I worked for various molding companies and mold making companies in a previous life, and it was probably in the 90s where we were having a lot of the customers were purchasing molds from China, and they would come in and they'd have us fix all the things that were wrong with it, and then they would tell us that it's still cheaper to do that, and we didn't understand that because we thought that we made such a better quality product, a more durable mold, so we never understood that. And I still think to this day, they've gotten a lot better, but also they're not as low cost as they once were either because of tariffs and because the Chinese economy, they're trying to grow that too. So I think we put together here at MTD, I know we put together a very quality product, far superior than anybody else, and the durability is second to none.
And we're talking about that a little bit offline. The challenge with bringing in tools from offshore and having to try and do some repair on those and not knowing what you're going to get when you open them up, and not being able to get drawings or prints or plans, and not knowing what kind of steel it is exactly, if it's quality steel. You just kind of run into, or you can run into various hurdles along the way. It's really difficult to try and get the drawings that you need or the prints or anything from a company like that. And then you just find yourself having to figure out all the geometry yourself before trying to make any of those changes or repairs to the tool.
Yeah, no, and it's frustrating, for us, when we're trying to do that, and it's frustrating for the customers too, because, they bought a mold and they just want it to run, and we're sitting here saying, hey, we got to do a lot of work here to get it up to be able to produce the quality product.
Yeah, and they're going, well, what you want to charge me is more than what I paid for the tool in the first place. Why would I do that?
Yeah. No, it is a tough one. And again, us building our own tools, even we purchase, since our molds are small, most of them are say 3.5 by 5 inch molds, the whole mold base up to 5 inch. And maybe we have some 8 by 8s, very few of them. We actually build our own mold bases here with, a pre-hardened stainless steel, our parting line locks and guided ejection. We don't even buy that. We make our own, just because we know how accurate we can produce them versus some of the off-the-shelf ones too. So again, everything here is coming from, steel manufactured in the United States. We think, we check the certs and all that stuff, and we make sure, but hopefully that is
you can only do what you can do, right? I mean, you can check the stuff, but at some point you have to trust that where you're buying it from is being honest with you about where it's coming from.
Right. That's
exactly one of the things I thought was really cool when we were talking at MD&M West was that idea that you have this synergy between both of your departments, the mold building side and then the molding side. Why is that so important to you guys, and how does it help you to have success where maybe some of your competitors struggle in that regard?
Yeah. So again, I couldn't imagine doing this business without having a tool room at our disposal. So one that, if you've ever had a molding company separate from a tooling company, you always have the finger pointing when the tool comes in. Is it the mold? Is it the tool? And then the tool maker's like, well, can they process it out? We don't have that here, and we know the types of projects we're doing, that the tool needs to be 100% before it goes to the molding guys. When we're trying to make a 4,000 wall cannula 1 inch long. The subgates need to be balanced, and you can't have any run out between the ejector sleeve, the core pin, the cavity. Everything needs to be, pretty much better than what the machine tools are supposed to provide in order for you to be successful. But everybody knows that. And we also have the process engineers talking to the mold makers about their struggles and their problems. So we don't run into the trivial problems of hey, these water lines are too close, we couldn't get quick connects on them. They know that, and they've heard it so many times that there's very little back and forth now on smaller issues that a lot of companies seem to struggle with in my past life.
How do you get your team to work so tightly? I mean, what does that come from? The leadership side of that? Is that communication? Where does that level of trust and cooperation come from?
Yeah, we've spent a lot of time, and these guys have worked together so long. And again, bringing in a new tool maker, those guys kind of all get to talk with them and speak with them, because they need to trust it. Like when the wire EDM guy hands off a part, to the sinker EDM department, and they're going to invest more money into it, and he's like, I checked it, it's 100%. And they've worked together so long. We don't have a lot of turnover. A lot of the guys have been here, 15 years, 11 years, 7 years. They all trust one another. So that's the beauty of it, is they don't have to keep going back and checking their work, so we can get stuff done quickly. And they know that if you don't do what you said you're going to do, you're going to be held accountable for it. So you get the beauty of both worlds. You get to have a say in, who comes to work, who joins the team. You also have a say in who's doing what, but you also, without having the accountability, you can't really.
No, yeah, I get it. It's always that challenge though, because no matter what team you have, right, you have a lot of guys that take pride in what they do, and nobody wants to say like, I screwed this up. but there are times where things go wrong. Um, I would imagine that you have a good team of people that are willing to take accountability for the things when when it doesn't line up the way that it's supposed to.
Yeah. No, I mean, I haven't experienced that issue in many years here, so it's hard to say. But they do, and a lot of times, if we're doing something that has a level of impossibility, we're going to make three. So we almost build the first cavity set, knowing that it's not going to come out right too.
Sure.
And we kind of design that into the cost and the timing, because we're not sure of the outcome. A lot of times we quote projects like that. It's like, we don't know exactly how we're going to do it, but if we get awarded the job, we have a lot of ideas. So it does give them the chance to like practice, let's say, and get it right before the real one gets made, let's say.
So when you're building three, you're building, say, a prototype one to see like what's going right, what's not going right. And then you go in and make adjustments for the second one, and then plan on making more adjustments for the third one.
Right. And we always go into that saying, hopefully we don't need the third one, but things happen when you're doing something impossible, so a lot of times we get it on the second try.
Well, and that's great because it allows you the opportunity to fail up. Right. And
you had said that. I love that saying. I love the fail up.
Because you don't know what's going to happen, right? Like you and I were joking about it, I think at MD&M West, that idea, like, we make the impossible possible. And, if somebody comes to you just because it's impossible to them, it just means that they don't have the know-how and the technology and the knowledge and the wisdom to be able to do those parts yet.
Right. And we weren't, I guess, fearful of, a lot of people say, we have a thin wall ejector sleeve. We have some that are 2,000s wall, some that are 4,000s wall. And most people in the industry said that we're not even going to try it because it's not going to last. We always had, let's see how long it lasts. And if this has to be a maintenance item, because it's part of, creating this part, then we'd have to figure out how to build it in. But knowing how to build them right, using the right types of steel, getting the right types of surface finish, really, they're more robust than people think. That's
awesome. You guys are just really, really impressive when it comes to all of these things. I'm used to seeing molds coming in on a flatbed truck, and this is like you could put it in the front seat of your car, which is amazing.
Yeah, no, a lot of guys, you'll see them walking around the corner, they're holding it in one hand, and the same thing when they put it in the molding press, they're holding it in one hand and putting the clamps on with the other hand.
Yeah.
That's nice. But it's also nice when you want changes or something goes wrong, you just take it out the same way and walk over to the tool room. And in some cases, you can stand there and wait for it,
Sure.
That's being vertically integrated is again, I couldn't imagine not doing this micro molding without having a very well-equipped, capable tool room to be able to support it.
Yeah. I mean, you definitely need the right staff, right? The staff that's not going to get overwhelmed with the idea of the impossible. I mean, when you're interviewing people, what does that look like? I mean, do they know what they're walking into? I mean, they would have to. Or do you tell them like, this is the size of our tooling. These are the tolerances we're trying to hit. Can you do that? And they look at you and they're like, are you out of your mind?
Yeah, there was a tool maker that was here towards the end of his career. He came here, and in the first 30 days, so he had I'm going to say 25 years tool building experience under his belt, and he came here, and it was like after a couple of weeks, he was like, Gary, I don't think I'm going to make it. And I was like, why? I said, you're doing awesome. And he's like, really? I don't feel as though I am, and I'm like, what are you struggling with? And he's like, the grinding of the inserts are, he's like, I'm used to, across the board, if we can nail that within, plus or minus 0.2. And it's like, well, no. And he's trying to grind them individually. I'm like, no, we do it a little differently here. We're going to, have the wire guy make you like a fixture so you can hang on to them all at one time and then grind them all at one time. And he's like, oh, all right. I never thought of that. I was just used to using this as one at a time. So that's what I mean. We do kind of unconventional, a lot of fixturing of the components to get the results we want. So sometimes the fixtures are more complicated than the inserts.
Yeah, but I'm sure.
That's the secret sauce in the recipe, you know.
Daryl was asking, when you're measuring your inserts, what tolerances are you trying to hit there?
Yeah, so it depends. You know, sometimes we're dealing with, you know, plastic parts that are plus or minus 2/10. So there are some areas on the, you know, in the mold that we might leave for, you know, a steel safe adjustment and actually do some process development and then bring that down. But generally, you know, say, you know, a core pin and an ejector sleeve, you know, having a 4/10 gap, if you were on the extreme, would not result in a good part for us, you know. So, and again, we don't use all the guys in here. We never create 2D drawings. Everybody works from a 3D model, and they know what accurate relationship the two steels need to be in order to produce a good part. So that's a little different, and it's a little getting used to for tool makers coming in here. They're used to having a drawing to know what tolerance they can work with. A lot of times we can't really put a tolerance on it because the molding process, you know, the injecting the material that has the viscosity of kerosene, you know, coming in. So if there's any gap at all, you know, tense, it's probably going to flash. So it's variable, you know. So I guess it's not one answer that we hold plus or minus 2/10 all day long.
Sure.
You know, in some cases it's you know, a quarter of that to be able to be successful.
That's crazy. How are you guys finding talent right now? Is that a challenge in your area?
Yeah, it's a challenge, you know, throughout, you know, a lot of different areas, especially here where we are in Central Mass. I think the unemployment is at its lowest in all of Massachusetts. So yeah, it is a challenge finding the right people, you know, to one, you know, because again, doing the impossible, you're challenged every day. You know, it's not the same thing every day. It's something new. And you got to be passionate about what you do because, you know, you got to have I guess the patience and determination to get it right. Because again, a lot of times you don't get it on the first shot. So you got to have that mentality of going in and saying, okay, I got to be patient. I gotta, you know, just keep doing this until I get it right. So sometimes it can be frustrating, and that's not for everybody, you know. So it is a challenge. We have brought in, you know, one of our guys that are grinding and fitting right now, and he's probably very good. He's about 30 years old. He came here when he was 20, and he was grinding eyeglasses for a lens company.
Okay.
Which is still, you know, he had the dexterity. He was finicky, but he had so much pride in his work, and he had, you know, the patience. I mean, if everybody describes him in the tool room as he's a sweetheart, you know. So he had that great personality. He had the patience. He took pride in his work, and he worked with a guy named Harry, who was at the time in his 65. So he retired when he was 75. But he did grinding and fitting all his life, you know. Wow. So he had some tricks that, you know, you would never think of to be able to grind and fit the way he did, to grind these long core pins. I went one day and he had all these core pins in the freezer, and he had ice around them because he had to grind it all in one shot, and the ice kept it cool and also kept the harmonic vibration. So you got the surface finish he needed. It's like, where would you learn that? You know,
he's like a wizard.
Yeah. So he was, you know, he instilled some practice in us that I wouldn't have known what to do without him. You know,
that's I mean, how do you come up with that kind of stuff? Like, is that tribal knowledge? Like, did somebody else teach him that, or was that you know, he paid attention in chemistry and science class and just thought, I don't know what else to try? I mean, how do you get to that level where you're going to say, we're going to pack these parts in ice?
Yeah. When you got to do some very challenging, like he came from a stamping die industry, you know, so he had to do some high aspect ratio parts. And I think maybe, you know, somebody else, I don't know where that came from, but it's a practice we use today still, that, you know, I would have never thought of that, you know, and I don't know if anybody else will.
I know back in the day, my dad told me that we had a customer and we did a polishing job for, and they said we took off too much stock. It was out of tolerance, and it was so tight that the weather would be dependent on if it was the right size or not. And And he said he like Mr. Miyagi, and he just rubbed his hands together and held the part for a little while. And he was like, okay, go check it again. Let's see if it's right. Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I guess it doesn't take much, right? When you're talking about the tiny sizes that we're talking about.
Yeah. No, and we have to deal with because we mold a lot of like peak material, which is, so you're building the mold at room temperature, which is say 68, 70 degrees, and then you heat it up to 400. So you can imagine, our engineering team going through and calculating like the steel growth for each individual types of steel in there and coming up with where that should be when it's cold in order to be nominal at 400 degrees. So pretty challenging stuff, but it does make a huge difference because you obviously can't, a mold at 70 degrees is not going to have the same stack height as a mold at 400 degrees.
No. I mean, everything is going to be slightly different. I mean, just the way steel expands and contracts and
Right.
what that looks like. And, that's where, I ask, you have to pay attention in science. You have to know what's going on and understand that temperature plays a part in what you're doing.
Yeah, no, it does.
So when you guys are looking for new customers, who's a good customer for you?
Well, it needs to have, the project that we're going to take on needs to have some level of impossibility. Because again, we're a problem solving team. We're, a premium solution. So we're not going to build, a washer mold or something like that. So we like the high aspect ratio. So it can be, and the challenge can be even with the materials too, in the processing. We have a very, capable tool room, but our processing and our engineering team, when it comes to molding them are just as talented as the tooling group. So there has to be some level of impossibility that's somewhere in the project for us to be interested in it. And a lot of times, most of our customers now we do business with are know that, hey, we're the premium solution, but we can't get this done anyplace else. So we're just gonna roll this out to MTD.
I mean, it's good to be known to be the best. Nobody's going to be like, what we would like to have them do it, but we could do it a little bit cheaper. The answer is just no. Nobody else is going to do it.
Yeah, and they've tried, and we've had many. I think we have some case stories on our website of people some of our customers who went with the lower cost option and lost out on the market share of a $100 million medical device. So, what did that cost?
Right.
You can't even put a number on it. Especially when maybe it was a $20,000 more on the tooling or something like that. So you really you got to know. If you're in this industry long enough, you get to realize like who knows what they're doing and who do you need to call when you want to get something done.
Yeah. And then you get the customers that say, no, I'm going to go with the cheaper option, and they try and it doesn't work. And then they come back to you and they're like, hey, I already used a lot of my budget trying this the first time and it didn't work. Can you cut me a deal?
Yeah. Most of the time you can't.
No, because it doesn't affect my price.
Yeah. It just happened to us recently. They tried to use the quote from 2021 and here it is 2024. And it's like, yeah, no, we're going to have to send you an updated quote, and it's like, okay, so.
We'll have some customers, they'll do that same thing. They'll call us about a polishing job or something and say, you guys did this back in 2000. Would you honor the same price? And it's like, are you honoring the same price for your customer? Do you know how much things have changed? How do you expect us to do that?
I know. And they can ask, but it's just, everybody's costs went up. So that's not even realistic.
No.
I mean, even your cable bill isn't the same as it was in 2020.
Dude, you still have a cable bill?
Yeah, I do actually. Well, internet bill. Let's call it.
I was gonna say you're the guy with cable still? You're keeping them in business?
Yeah, I do. I do have a cable subscription, but it's basic, just for local news.
All right, for the news and the games, huh?
Yeah.
Scott Kramer, my guy from Exact Metal, awesome additive resource. He says STEM for the win in education. Absolutely. You know, I learned that it's STEAM now. It's science, technology, engineering, art, and math.
All right.
They've added art. Yeah.
Well,
Different
I do
way-
agree. Like when a mold maker, builds a mold, there's so much pride into it. It's almost like he's creating a piece of artwork. The slides and everything is so precise. That again, when I first started, the mold maker in the building always wore a bow tie. So you always knew who the mold maker was. So he had that prestige about him. It's completely different now, but but that was you always knew who the mold maker was because he had the tie.
My dad will talk about Chandler all the time. That's where he did his internship in Illinois, and how all the German mold makers were just so, like you're saying, pristine, and there was no dirt in their benches. Everybody cleaned up as soon as they finished something. All their tools were immaculate. They knew where every single thing was. They were like a fine oiled machine in every single aspect of what they did.
Yeah.
Somehow you lose a little bit of that over time.
No, we've even lost it, over there, even before MTD, other various molding companies I worked for.
All right. You wanna have some fun? You wanna play 5 questions? I think we covered a lot of the important stuff.
Yeah. All right.
So we'll have a little bit of fun here. Let's see. I'm gonna try something new. We actually have some theme music. Let's see if this works. No, that means you win. We'll see if you win. All right, we got a little bit of music there. See, it's fun. It's fun. Let's see. Question number 1 in 5 questions. Would you rather be the greatest tetherball player or find $100 on the ground?
Greatest tetherball catcher.
That game where the ball's on the stick and the string, and you just hit it around and around and around.
Yeah. I think I'll take the $100 on the ground.
Isn't that sad? Like, you could be the greatest ever at tetherball, and $100 is still better because it's tetherball. Yeah. I mean, unless you're Napoleon Dynamite, nobody cares.
Yeah, I know.
All right, question number 2. What minor inconvenience bothers you the most for absolutely no reason?
Minor inconvenience.
Like for my son, when Jack wrote these questions, he said for him it's gas. Having to go get gas is the thing that he hates more than anything.
Going to get gas. Yeah, I don't have one, I think.
You don't have one. You must be a very patient man.
I am. Ask my wife.
Yeah. Is your wife a very patient woman? That's the question.
I'm way more patient than she is, and she'll admit that. No, I do. I hate waiting at a restaurant, like to go and sit down.
Oh, just waiting for the waitress to finally come over and take your order.
No, like waiting to sit down, like going into a restaurant and whether I have a reservation or not, I hate waiting.
Yeah.
Hate waiting.
It's worse when you get, like, if you have to wait because all the tables are full, that's one thing. But when you can look around and you're like, I could sit there. I could sit there.
Right.
I could sit over there.
Yes.
Do you need me to go wipe the table down? Like, what is taking all the time here?
Yeah. When the restaurant's not full, you're absolutely right. And I have to, I'm frustrated.
Yeah. Or when you make a reservation and they don't have space for you. The doctor is the worst at that for me. Like you have to schedule an appointment to go to the doctor. You go to the doctor and then they sit you outside the waiting room for another 30 minutes. And you think, if I did this to you, you would charge me.
Yeah. No, that's another good one too. I guess I didn't think of that. It seems like I don't want to be late for the doctor. I'm always early, but I don't know why they take me 15 minutes after my appointment.
Doesn't matter when it is.
No.
All right, question number 3. If you were promised $10,000 to cut off a finger, and then for each additional finger, you got 10 times that amount. So 2 fingers would be $100,000, 3 fingers would be $1 million, and so on. How many fingers would you cut off?
3 fingers, 1 million. I don't think I'd cut any off.
No, you're not going to cut anything off. All right.
Oh.
I mean, that's a safe answer.
No. $1 million isn't worth it.
But if you go with 4 fingers, then you get 10 million.
No, I get it. But
Yeah.
I don't think it's worth it.
I don't think it's worth it either. These are
It's worth it.
these are songs my college student son questions my college student son came up with. So and it's it's fun to think about. Some people think for $100 million I'll just get a robot hand and that would be fantastic. Then you got everything taken care of.
Yeah,
but I like my hands.
Yeah, no, because you think about everything you're going to do when whenever you want to do anything, you need your hands. Whether you want to play golf or, ride a mountain bike or
whatever it is. I feel like God made pretty good hands. I don't need robot hands. All right, question number 4. How many owls is too many owls to see in one day? So you're walking down the street, you see one owl, you think that's weird. Yeah. How many owls would you have to see in a day to think there is something going on here that is not natural?
Yeah. I think if I seen one during the day, I would think that I'm not a bird guy. I have a little phobia about birds anyway.
You do?
Yeah, I don't mind one bird or 2 birds, but if it's like a whole flock of birds around me, I just okay, what's going on here?
So like you walking down by the beach to feed the ducks is not a thing, because when you start throwing some bread, those ducks get crazy.
Yeah, and I don't like that.
No. Yeah. That's fair. Like sometimes, I don't know if you guys get it in Massachusetts, like when it gets cold, all the birds will take off and fly at one time, and they're that could be a disaster.
Yeah, as long as I'm not around it and that happens, several hundred yards away, I don't care. But
so are you a hunter then? You just want to kill all the birds, or they don't bother you that much?
No, I don't hunt anything. I don't need to kill them. I just don't like to be around them.
I think that's fair. Yeah. That's totally fair. All right, question number 5. Now this is opinion. Do you think there are more doors in the world or more wheels in the world today?
Wow.
Such a stupid question, isn't it? But it makes you think. Like what?
I would say there's more wheels, I think.
Yeah?
Yeah. I don't know.
Then you start thinking, what are the things in the world that have wheels that don't have doors? Is it roller skates? Is it bicycles?
Yeah. But wheels and any kind of automation too and stuff it's just, I don't know.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
That is 5 questions with Gary.
All right.
I hope you enjoyed the 5 questions. It's just good, stupid fun, right? I mean, what else you want? We can't take everything so seriously. Gary, is there anything else that you think that we should cover today before we let you go?
No, I don't know of anything else to cover today. I think we covered a lot of ground today about the industry and the importance of I guess mold making in the world, I guess.
Are you guys going out to any more shows this year, or was MDNM West the last one for you?
No, we do. Well, I'm going to the excuse me. There's a medical product outsourcing summit in San Diego in a few weeks, so.
Okay.
That'll be nice. There's a Boston trade show. There's a trade show we do in Ireland that kind of gives us our Ireland exposure.
Ireland?
Yeah, an Ireland med device show.
Okay, nice.
Again, so from us is the same distance as going to California, so it's not that big a deal. It's like everybody's like, oh, you're going to Europe. It's like it's still 5 hours one way and 6 hours the other way. But
not only that, but I'm sure there's not many companies, whether it's in the U.S. or Europe or anywhere else in the world, that are doing the things that you're doing. So you might as well take advantage of your abilities.
Yeah, no, it is. We always bring a sample kit, and there's always things in there that are very interesting that people are like, wow, how did you do this? Or wow, that's pretty amazing. Wow, that looks impressive, and me being a tooling guy, I can kind of, that's where it all started, is explain to them how challenging it was to create the tool to be able to do this. So.
Yeah. I love that you can just bring a sample kit in your carry-on.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's very small. It's probably 16 inches long, 1 inch thick, and 7 inches wide, and it holds a lot of the most challenging parts that we've ever come across.
And we got most people that, for them to bring a sample kit is like, a nightmare. Yeah, it's a truck, or at least packed luggage.
Yeah. No, we just bring it in our backpack, actually.
Have you guys ever found a part that was impossible? Have you had to tell people no?
Yeah, we have had to tell people that it's just not something that's manufacturable by injection molding. Whether it be the wall probably being too thin, or the material just we'll never get to it no matter what. The technology is just not there. That's usually the reason why we'll have to tell people no.
All right. As we're wrapping up, if you're still with us and you have any prayer requests, go ahead and put those in the chat, and we'll do a quick prayer at the end of this, because I think that prayer is really important, and it's my show, so I get to do it. Ha ha. So when you're not at MTD, what does Gary like to do?
In the summertime, I play golf once a week. I'm not I'm not good at it, but I just enjoy. Well, I shouldn't say. Well, I'm not the worst, but I'm not the best. So I'm a middle of the road guy, but I really enjoy the camaraderie. Hanging out with my friends, not worrying about anything to do with work. It's kind of like we have conversations about nothing, and we laugh, because I've never heard of anybody having too much laughter in their life. We talk about stupid things, and it's funny, and you're having probably a few beers while you're playing golf, so it's super relaxing to me. In the winter, I live on a lake, so driving 4-wheelers around the lake in the summer. Taking a pontoon boat out just for a leisurely cruise. No speedboat, just to relaxing, watch the sunset. I have 2 dogs that love my attention. They love to play frisbee. That's their thing. It's like, as soon as I grab that frisbee, they can't wait to get outside.
That's awesome. And if you like golf, and it sounds like you do, and you don't like it too much, where you don't like take it overly serious, you should consider coming out to our golf outing in September. It is 100% ridiculous fun. It's drinking and a little bit of golf sprinkled in, just ridiculousness, all going to benefit our friends at iWarriors. And iWarriors will have a booth at PT Expo. So if you have any interest in iWarriors or what that is, then you'll be able to stop by and see that. I am going to pray for us real quick, and then I'll get you out of here. We're just over an hour, so I hope I didn't take up too much of your time.
No.
So I'll pray for us real quick, and then we'll say goodbye. Heavenly Father, thank you for today. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for Gary and all the work that they do at MTD. We just pray that you would be with us, that you would watch over us, that we could have a fun conversation, and we could talk about things that matter, and have some laughter and some fun experiences. And we just pray that you would be with us, and that you would watch over the people that need it, and that you would heal those that need it, and that you would bring comfort and security to everybody that hears this. And we love you, and it's in Jesus' name we pray. Gary, thank you, my friend, for joining me here and at MTD. It was awesome to meet you there that first time. You got to be my guinea pig interview for that day. I had no idea how all that was going to go, and I was thankful that it was you and Lindsay was there, because I was able to be kind of put at ease, because you guys seemed easy going too. And she told me that you were a little bit nervous going into that, but you were a champ.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. I think it got easier as I went through that. But like I said, I want to do something hard or different every day that I don't normally do. So that was a perfect opportunity to check that box for the day.
Next time we can do this topless.
Okay, we'll do that at the golf outing.
Yay! Now
send
you
me-
know what we're getting yourself into. I like it. I like it.
Send me
I
the
like it.
invite.
I will do that. All right, buddy. Thank you for joining us. Tell everybody who said hello. Before we go, what's the best way for people to get in touch with you or MTD if they're needing you guys do some work for them?
Yeah, our website has a lot of very good information on it, very thorough, and you can also reach out to us through it. So obviously, www.mtdmicromolding.com is the best way to start learning more about MTD.
All right, my friend, have yourself a wonderful rest of your Wednesday, and let me know if there's anything we can do to help you out. And if anybody needs Gary, go to mtd.com and get everything that you need from them.
Okay. All right.
All right. Have a good day.
Yeah, you too. Bye now.
Bye. That was Gary Hulecki from MTD Micro Molding. Super glad that he was able to come on the show today and talk about what it is that they do and why it's so important for what they do. I love talking to American-made companies, American manufacturing companies, those companies that are helping keep us moving and moving in a way that is blowing away the competition anywhere else in the world. Right? That's a big deal. Also, the things that Gary was saying about them going to Ireland, like there's nobody else doing what they're doing. And that's what makes it so cool. And those are the technologies and those are the things that we as American manufacturers need to continue doing and pushing the boundaries on, because let's face it, we can, right? It's super exciting and it's awesome to be able to do those things. So real quick with some recap, come see us at PT Expo. It is March 18th through the 20th at the Donald E. Stevens Convention Center. If you don't want to pay for that, we have free entries. So do me a favor, send us a message and we will be sure to get you in. We'll send you over a link. We'll actually put one in the description so that everybody can take advantage of that. I think that we have rambled on long enough. If you enjoy what you heard today, please go over to the Manufacturing Alliance podcast on YouTube. Check out all of our past interviews with some amazing guests. We also have, we have so many upcoming shows. We are booked through April. It's really exciting to say that. A lot of good stuff coming. So you don't want to miss that. So make sure you go and subscribe to the LinkedIn, not the LinkedIn, I'm sorry, to the YouTube channel, and follow us on LinkedIn too. We want to catch you everywhere that we possibly can. I think I'm done talking. So if you like this, please click and subscribe, get those notifications, make sure that you never miss a Manufacturing Alliance podcast episode or any of the things that we're doing. I want to thank Gary for being on our show today. I want to thank him for all of his knowledge and for everything that they do. And I want to thank you for listening and watching and for being part of the Manufacturing Alliance experience. So on behalf of myself and Gary and Alliance and MTD, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Take care and God bless.